Hi everyone, welcome back. It is episode 8 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel, and this podcast is a video podcast where I talk about all things knitting pretty much, sometimes maybe crochet, sometimes sewing, maybe some yarn dyeing in the future, but yeah, that is the main gist of this video podcast. I hope you are ready and have something comfortable to be sitting in and have a good knitting project or crafting project of your choice, maybe some coffee or some tea, because I think this is going to be a very long episode. I don't want to say very long, but I think it'll be on the long side because I have a lot of projects to talk about, and I have been posting. I haven't really, it's only episode 8, or I'm surprised it's episode 8, but at the same time, it's not been, like 100. But I have been doing these episodes once a week, filming on Saturdays and uploading on Sundays, but I did miss last week because I actually did a ton of knitting, not at home. So yeah, it's been a little. So I was actually kind of thinking, I wonder if doing these episodes once a week is maybe too frequent. Like, maybe I won't have that much interesting things to talk about every week because maybe I'm working on the same things every week, you know what I mean? But yeah, after the 2 weeks, I don't know if it was just like a crazy 2 weeks knitting-wise for me, but I have worked on a lot of things and I'm really excited to share them here. But yeah, so buckle up, get ready. It's going to be a long one. Get comfortable, and let's get started with the regular content of the podcast. So I'll start off with what I am wearing today. It is a cardigan, and it's actually, I don't know, it is a lighter cardigan because it's still hot weather-wise here, but I don't know, I was just feeling cardigan wearing for this episode, but it is the Aimee cardigan. So I'll stand up because there are multiple colors. I think it's 5 colors on this cardigan. It is the Aimee cardigan by Hiii Locatelli. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. And I used Sewrella yarn for this cardigan in the colors, and I'll stand up again and say the colors. The brown on top is the color, oh my gosh, Teak. The yellow is Golden Hour. The pink is Parasol. And this super light pink, almost white pink color is Pearl. And then the bottom here, the gray, is Driftwood. So, and all of these colors were from Sewrella's Summer Tonals collection. So she's on her fall tonals right now, so you can't buy these colors right now, but I think they might be coming back next year. I'm not totally sure, but I saw this color combo on Sewrella's Instagram. Like, when the summer tonals came out, she posted some color combos, and I saw this, I'm pretty sure it was like this exact color combo, and I was like, immediately I thought of this cardigan because I have seen lots of people knit this cardigan or post about it, and I was just like, I don't know if I was like, color combos for me are very difficult because it's hard for me to picture what the colors combined will look like on the actual project itself. So even though these are just, stripes in a sense, or just like, blocks of color, I couldn't picture any color combos together. But when I saw this color combo together, I knew right away that it was turning into this cardigan, and I think it came out super nice. Like, I really like how this came out, and it's so cute. And I think the pattern calls for using it's the yarn weight that's between fingering, it's sport weight. I think the pattern calls for sport weight yarn, but for Sewrella, I think for the tonals, what is it called? Well, the summer tonals, like all the year tonals, they she doesn't offer the sock base, so I used the regular, she doesn't offer the sport base, so I used the regular sock fingering weight base, and it came out, I think, just fine. It's very light, airy cardigan. It's actually getting kind of hot, so I might have to take it off, but I really like this cardigan. I made size 2 and used US 3 and 4 needles if anyone is interested. And for all of my videos and for everything I talk about in them, I do have the information that I talk about in the description down below, but of course if I miss anything, just please let me know. So yeah, so this is this cardigan, and it is what I'm wearing. So yes, next is finished objects. Surprisingly, I have one finished object, but you've never seen it and I've never talked about it before because I casted it on earlier this week and finished it in, I think it was 2 days. So it is a new cast on from the last time we've talked, plus a finished object, if that makes any sense. I did not block it though. I finished it in 2 days and it's been like 4 days and I have not blocked it yet, but that is the goal for this weekend, is to block some of the things that I've been meaning to block for, like, some of them like months. So yes, so this is the DK Sugarboo Bralette by Caidree, and it's actually the first knitted bralette that I've made, and actually I've been wanting to make this for a while because I thought it was very simple and cute, and also I thought it would be a perfect project for leftover DK weight yarn because you don't need like a full skein. And I believe I had 80 grams of DK weight yarn to make this, and it worked out perfectly. Like, I'm pretty sure I used up like all of it, which is fantastic. So I think with blocking, this is going to look a lot better because it's kind of just like curling up on the edges. But yeah, so this is how it looks. It has a nice ribbing at the bottom. I think next time I make this, so I made the size extra small, but I think next time I want to see how it fits after I block it, of course, but I think I'll go down a size just because it's a bit, and honestly I did not gauge swatch for this because it's a small enough project and it didn't really bother me too much because I probably won't be wearing this by itself anyway. Might just be at home or just under something. But yes, so I'm really happy with this project. This is the back, as you can see, and the yarn I used was Sewrella DK weight yarn. I think it's classic DK, and I used the colorway Sven from her Frozen collection, but I actually got it. I didn't know of Sewrella when she had her Frozen collection, so after I discovered her, she had her greatest hits. I think this might have been in 2021, I think, and she was offering this color again during her greatest hits collection, and so I got that color. And I think it's a really nice brown, but still has a lot of depth to it. Like, it's a light brown, but has all, you can just see, I don't remember if this was a variegated color. I feel like it probably is because there is a good amount. Like, I'm pretty sure this was not a tonal, but it still comes off very neutral and one color-ish. I really like that. So I am excited to wear this and block it and try it out. So I am looking forward to, I have another DK weight yarn that I'm pretty sure has enough to make another one of these, so we'll try it with the smaller size and see how that goes. And I think this pattern is going to be one that I will be using a lot for some leftover DK weight yarn. I love it when I find a pattern that works really well with leftover yarn because the yarn, especially the hand-dyed yarn that I like to buy, they're so precious that I feel so bad when there's leftover amounts of it and, you know, not enough to make like a sweater or something. And I would hate to waste it on just making, like, I've thought about making just like maybe some granny squares and just like patching them up all together, but it's not something that I feel particularly like super excited about. So when I find a pattern that I actually really want to make and I have the yarn already for it, like, I think it's it's just like the perfect match. It makes me feel really good about doing that. So this was actually, I decided to cast this on because I wanted to cast on something new, but I've already at this point when I casted on like 3 other projects. I have not counted because it was a lot, but I felt good about this one because it used leftover yarn from a project a while ago. So I don't feel bad about casting this on. And I finished it, which makes it even better. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna block this for sure today because I want to see how it looks blocked. I think it'll look really cute. So yes, this is finished object for this week, or for the past 2 weeks because I didn't film last week. But yeah, really excited about this and very happy about this one. But that is it. That is it for the finished objects because I casted on a ton of projects in the past 2 weeks. And I think that'll take up majority of this video because there's a lot. It's a bit scary how much there is, but I think probably some of you can relate, or some of you might be like, you're crazy. I was the type, I think maybe the past 2 years, like when I first started knitting, I only had one project going at a time. And what would happen would I would buy the yarn, get the yarn, work on that one project, and once I'm done, look for another project, buy the yarn, and wait because it was during the year 2020 and so not many stores were open. So I bought yarn online, so I'd have to wait for it to get shipped and then start on the project. So I thought, oh, why don't I just have some things queued up? And so that's when the yarn collecting kind of started. Then I learned about hand-dyed yarn, pre-orders for hand-dyed yarn, and then everything just kind of went. I just have a collection now, so I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah. Oh, I guess it's just, I used to be a one project at a time person, but now I think I was good last year. I think the most I ever had going at the same time was like 5, but I think now I'm at like, honestly, maybe around 10. I don't work on all of them at the same time, but I actually worked on like, I guess we're counting. Do I count? I have my notes here, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess I worked on 7 of them in the past 2 weeks, and some of them are new cast-ons as well. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, well, since there's a long list, I'll get started. The first 2 I am going to share are ones I've already talked about before, and they're test knits, so let me just get those here. Yeah, so I just want to show you some progress that I've made on these because I think I've made a good amount of progress. So this first one is a test knit for Emily from M's Knits on Instagram, and this is the Winona Polo. So there's a lot of yarn going around on this one because there's a lot of colors. It looks so good in the camera viewfinder. I think the lighting just makes it look cool. Okay, let me just flatten this out. Okay, so this is the Winona Polo, and as you can see, it is a, I don't know if you can see if I can't hold it up. It is a long sleeve. I finished one sleeve here, as you can see, with a collar, and I will add buttons eventually. And it is has stripes, different colors. And I'm trying to remember what I had done the last time we talked. I don't think I had the body done last time, so I finally finished the body. And it has a nice split hem with a folded, I actually really do like folded hems like this, where you knit and then you do a purl bump for the bottom and then you fold it. So that's really nice. I love kind of the like oversized look of this. Like it's going to be really comfy and cozy and very roomy. And this is the sleeve that I finished here. Yay! And I don't think I've ever done this with a sleeve before, but the cuff is double knitted around. So I think that is a really cool detail. And if you do look up this pattern, which I highly recommend you should because it is great, you could, I mean, of course, you could do it in a solid color if you prefer. But I did the stripes, and for the pattern, she is going to have so her sample knit is done in a certain stripe pattern, and so she's written out that stripe pattern in case you want to copy the exact kind of stripe pattern that she has in her sample that you can see that she posted on her Instagram. And so that's what I'm doing for this test knit, is the stripe pattern that she has laid out. And so that's how this stripe pattern came to be. But of course you can change it to be whatever pattern you would like in whatever colors. But I think this is turning out really nice, and I really like the colors I chose. And yeah, all the yarn, how I was talking about using leftover yarn. These weren't leftover, or some of it was leftover yarn. So, and some were just one single skeins that I just had no idea what I was going to do with them. So I'm really happy that for this project, they all kind of worked out together. Yeah. I should say what yarn I'm using for this. So let's see, I am using Woolberry yarn for the green color. This is in the colorway Green Gables in the berry cashmere base. Oh, and all of these colors, the bases I'm using is fingering weight. Some of them a bit different, like I think the yardage, like for the green, like the Woolberry is 400 yards per 100 grams, but something like the white, and I think this orangey pink, peachy pink color is like 430 something, more than 400 yards, but it's still considered fingering, but I think it might be light fingering. I'm not totally sure, but all fingering weight. Yes, so yeah, so the green Woolberry, Green Gables colorway, and then this dark pink for the collar, and I guess where else? This stripe under the green is Sewrella Classic Sock in the colorway Terracotta, and then the white is just Knit Picks Capretta Superwash fingering weight in the colorway Bear, so it's just not colored, it's just the bare white color. And then the peachy pink color is Big Little Yarn Co. Trusty Sock in the colorway Sakura. So all different yarn brands, different colors, different dyers, but I think they all go really well together. And I'm so excited that I have one sleeve done, so now it's really just, now I know what it will look like. I just have to now finish the identical second sleeve, and I'll be almost done. Let's not talk about weaving in ends because there's a lot of stripes. But I've learned, I think this year was me learning a lot about just like taking the time to enjoy the process. So I feel less intimidated about weaving in all the ends, but it's still a daunting task. Like when you see the inside of this, it does not look fun. But I am very much looking forward to finishing this so I can wear it. Yes, so that's the Winona Polo, which is in testing. Okay. Okay, next is another test knit that I have talked about. But I've made a ton of progress on this in the past 2 weeks. So this is the Dad Sweater by Emily Curtis. Let me bring it up here. Yay! So this one is a bit different because, or different in the sense where I finished both sleeves and now I'm working on the body. Versus the other one, I finished the body and then worked on the sleeve. So this is the sweater, Dad Sweater by Emily Curtis. Her Instagram handle is mweekurt, and her branding is called Gently Chaotic Knits. She also has a knitting podcast on YouTube, which I absolutely love watching. So definitely check her out if you haven't already. So I am so happy and excited that I got chosen for this test knit because, again, like, I love watching her podcasts. And she's also from Seattle, which I think is just really cool. Like, anyway, yeah, more on that later because actually there's some fun stuff to share. But let's see, dad's sweater. The yarn I'm using for this is La Bien Aimee, and I've heard people say this yarn brand in different ways. Like, I think I've heard it La Bien Aimee, but I was searching because I was not sure which is the correct way. And I saw Aimee herself say in someone else's YouTube video that it's La Bien Aimee. I don't know if there's like a slight, it's like in between Aimee and not Aimee, like Aimee, but I think it's La Bien Aimee. But let me know what you've heard other people say. But I saw a video of Aimee herself saying La Bien Aimee. So I did a lot of research on this because I completely was just not sure how to say it. But yeah, so the yarn La Bien Aimee, Corey worsted in the colorway High Garden, which is a pink color, but it really honestly has like so much depth to the color. Like it actually, on camera, it looks purple, but I think it is like pinky purple, if that makes sense, with some darker tones, and honestly some lighter tones as well. Like, actually maybe you can see it right here on the sleeve right there. Yeah. So it is a very like woolly feeling yarn, but it's not super scratchy. We'll see how it feels when I actually like wear it for a prolonged period of time, but it's definitely has some scrunch, if that makes sense. Some sturdiness to it, but it doesn't feel like super unwearable. So I'm really excited to have a sweater made out of yarn that is not Superwash merino or anything like that. Yes, what else about this? I am doing the standard shoulder size, size 1, and this pattern will have standard shoulder size and also a broad shoulder size. So typically the broad shoulder size would be for men's sizing, but of course if you prefer a more oversized feel, that you could also definitely do that too if you're like me and identify as a woman. But I absolutely love, I was kind of, when I was doing the sleeves, as you can see, the armhole is really large. It's really deep. And I was kind of like, it looks large, like huge. But it really fits. Like, I think even though it looks big, it's actually just like the perfect amount of oversized feeling so that you're not feeling like super tight around the sweater, especially because, at least for me, because it is like a woolier yarn, I wouldn't want it to be necessarily like really fitted around my arms. So I really like that it's a nice amount of oversizedness on that front. Excuse me, need some water. Okay. But I think sizing wise, it's going to be great. Like, I absolutely love it. And I love the folded neckband, the ribbed neckband as well. And I think this is gonna just be a really nice sweater to have. And I'll probably want to make it again in a different color and a different yarn as well. But I can't get over how like this looks. Like the sleeve and the body. Just, I don't know, something about this just looks like it's gonna fit super well, if that makes any sense at all. It looks like the perfect basic, not basic sweater, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to say basic is just easy, but it is a nice plain sweater, but with just the right amount of details to make it look super nice. So yes, working on the body, I mean, I am almost there. I think I need a couple more inches before I start the ribbing for the hem, and we're on our last ball of yarn, so let's hope I can finish it with that last ball of yarn. I think I can buy another skein if I needed to, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm super loving working on this lately. And I'll talk about this at the end of the episode when we start doing the more chatty stuff, but I did finish one sleeve in the entire last weekend. So the reason why that I did not film a podcast last weekend, I was working on a sleeve. But again, more details at the end. So yeah, the Dad's Sweater by Emily Curtis. Okay, so that's it for the test knits that I'm currently working on. Now on to other works in progress. So let's see, the next one I can talk about. Okay, this morning I am a crazy person and actually started working on one of my projects that has been just put away in one of my project bags for a very, very long time. Maybe like 3 months, I'm not sure, but it is. And let me just show you this project bag first because it is actually the first project bag that I actually bought specifically for knitting. The rest of my project bags are like just tote bags pretty much. Actually, I did buy another project bag, but this was the first one I bought specifically for my knitting things. It is from Woolly Bean. I'll show you inside. And I'm pretty sure the fabric she used was from rifle paper, I think. But anyway, love this bag. It is perfect. I've used it on a couple road trips that I've gone on to just hold my yarn stuff, and it has lots of pockets and a zipper, which makes it really nice, and a little handle. So it's the perfect like travel bag for my knitting stuff. But this one particular project, may have talked about it in one of my earlier episodes. It is the Moon Crush Tank by Jacqueline Cieslak. So this is the front, and the way it's worked is you work the front and then the back separately, and so it's knitted flat, and it's a crop tank here. And as you can, if you can tell, not totally sure, but the design makes it so that you're doing intarsia knitting. So you're switching colors like in the middle of rows as you work back and forth. And if you notice, these colors look very similar to the ones I am currently wearing. It is because I casted on this project right after I finished this cardigan because I had to buy one skein each for the colors for this cardigan, but it didn't use up all of it, of course. So I had about a little less, I think, a little less than half per color, about a little half of a skein. I mean, per color, and it was too much of it to be just like scrap yarn. Like, it was leftovers, and I wanted to make something out of it, and I think that's when this pattern might have come out, and I was like, yes. I looked at the yardage requirements, and it could work with some of my colors. So yeah, same colors that I use, although this one only uses 3 colors. So using the pink, the brown, and the yellow. But yeah, so I finished this front part pretty much soon after I finished this cardigan. I think it might have been in a week or like a weekend. And then I just stopped. I did not cast on the back. I didn't start on the back until this morning. I thought maybe this weekend would be the weekend where I finish projects that I know that I can finish pretty quickly. So I did cast on the back this morning, and this is all I have for it. It's actually not too bad. The bottom is a folded hem, and it's actually kind of cool because it's a different color on the inside. But yeah, it's actually not a bad amount to have casted on this morning. But yes, finally casted on the back for this top, and I'm hoping to finish it this week. Like, if I'm good and disciplined, I'll work on it this weekend and get it done by next week so I can just finish this off, because since we are getting into cooler weather soon, and this is a cropped tank top, I would like to just finish this off while I could still potentially wear it and to not freeze. I mean, I could wear it and wear a cardigan over it, which is fine, but since it was really like a summer top, I kind of want to just finish it soon. So that was my motivation. Finish the Moon Crush tank because it is a cute pattern. It is using up some of my leftover yarn, and it should be a quick knit, a quick finish knit. So that is that. Yeah. It's gonna be really cropped, but I'm planning on either wearing this over something, maybe like over a plain dress, or some really high-waisted pants. I'm not totally sure. But perfect for the leftover yarn. That's kind of all I have to say about that. And it's really cute. It's just a cute design. And intarsia knitting isn't too bad, which makes me excited because now I feel like, you know, learning new knitting techniques is always pretty fun for me. And especially, like, I don't like learning a technique just to learn it. Like, I want to learn it because there's something I want to make that uses that technique, so that's pretty good. Pretty good excuse to learn intarsia knitting. I have done one project with intarsia knitting, which was like my actual first experience with it before this one, but still, you know. Yes, so Moon Crush tank, it is a work in progress, but I'm hoping to get this done soon. Yep, so putting this back in the bag. Okay, next, what do I want to talk about? I could talk about something else that has been put away for quite a while, maybe a couple months, and I finally brought it back to work on last night. I worked on it last night and also this morning a little bit because I really should. This might look a little strange, like what the heck is this? But this is my Midnight Jasmine Wrap by Alexi of Two of Wands, and I'm pretty sure I have talked about this during one of my earlier episodes, and I think I just had like this much done of it, and it's actually a crochet project, and it is going to be a wrap, like a, what is it called? It's a triangle wrap, so I am working from the longest end first, and then it's going to go down like that. And it's all just chains of flowers, crocheted flowers, which I think is really cute. And this project came about because me and two of my friends who I knew from college and one of them elementary school, we all started getting into crafting 2 years ago or a year ago, around the same time. And we're all kind of like knitting, sewing, crocheting type of people. And so we thought it'd be fun to do a project together, and so we chose this project to do together. So we all chose our own different yarn colors to work on ourselves, but we're working on the same pattern. So I finally worked a bit more on it, and so I'm planning on doing this row by row, starting with the longest row. So here, I think it's about as long as my arms can go wide right now. And the yarn colors I chose, I'm hoping I get this right. I did write it down. I am using the Line brand, the Two of Wands, like she has a yarn line with Line brand yarn, and it's the Color Theory yarn. I forget what weight it is. I think it might be like worsted weight. So I am using, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. So I am using, this green is Caper, this pink is Himalayan Salt, this reddish brown is Raisin, brown is Nutmeg, the grayish color, I believe this one's Bone, and then the white is Ivory. So, oh, that looks really cute in the camera. Yeah, so they're all crocheted individually and then chained together, and you do them, you'll make the petals, and then when you add them, then you are actually crocheting like into the sides to connect them. So you make it and connect it all at the same time, and also ideally you weave in the ends at the same time as well, because there's going to be a lot of flowers. Like, I think if you follow the pattern, there might be 170 something flowers. So it's going to be a big project. I think I've timed myself, and each flower takes me about like 5 minutes. That might sound ridiculously long for a flower, but I just crochet really slow because knitting is my thing. And I do crochet. I know some knitters don't crochet at all, but I would say I crochet sometimes, especially if there's a pattern I really like and it's crochet, then I will figure it out. It's kind of like how I go about it. And I really like this pattern, so I want to figure it out. It's really not too bad. I think a beginner could definitely figure it out. And the pattern's really great. There's a lot of pictures on how to connect the flowers. But I think the main thing for this is making sure that you weave in the ends as you go, because it's really not that bad to do it per flower. And I think this is going to be just something that I pick up when I feel like it and then work on a few, or maybe like, I think I did do about like 15 flowers yesterday, plus this morning. So yeah, so this is another project we picked up. I say we, but it's me, that I picked up recently to work on again. So yes, the Midnight Jasmine Wrap by Two of Wands. Excited to see this grow. I think it's going to be really cute to have. And the yarn feels really great. Like, I think it's 100%. Do I have a label here? Let me see. I think it is. It's 100% acrylic, but honestly, like, it is. Just bring it. It feels really soft and fluffy. If the camera focuses, there we go. Like, it is really soft. Like, it doesn't feel plasticky. It just feels soft. I don't know. It's not what I would expect from a 100% acrylic yarn. In a good way. I really like this yarn. So maybe more projects with this yarn. I'm not sure. Might have to get through my current yarn stash first, but I do like this yarn. Yeah. Okay, so now onto, those were all things that I already had casted on before, but now onto, it's actually not too bad. There's 3 things that are new cast-ons to add onto the growing list of works in progress that I have. So, where to start first? I'll start with the first thing that I casted on that was new. And okay, let me just bring it. These are socks, and I thought it would be fine to cast on because they're socks. And I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that I wanted to cast them on in a previous video. So, there's a lot of yarn going on over here, but I talked about this book. It is my first actual like knitting book that has knitting patterns in it, and there's so many good patterns in this book. And one of them is the Marine Layer Socks. I think it would be okay if I showed this. As long as I don't show the pattern, I think it should be okay. The Marine Layer Socks, and the cuff and leg part of the sock, or most of the leg part and the cuff, is with Suri. And I never thought about using Suri in a sock before, but just having it in like the cuff and leg part, I thought that would be so cozy to have a sock like that, and so I really wanted to cast these on. And I thought to myself, they're socks, they're a small project, so it's okay if I cast them on because they should be quick to knit up. So I finished one side, and I've been pretty good with my socks of not having them. I know they're kind of like sleeves, I think, for a lot of people, where you do one and then you just don't want to do the other one, but I've been pretty good. But I did finish one side, and so this is what it looks like. So the suri part just goes up to here. You do suri plus your main yarn, and then you continue with your main yarn. But I love the detail on this. Like these, I was wondering how these bumps were made, but they're like slipped, combination of like slipped stitches and stuff. But I love how cozy this suri part on the leg is. And I think it's such a nice way to also use up some leftover suri, which is what I did for these socks. Because I had some leftover suri and enough, and actually I will still have leftover after these socks, but a great way to use them up. And also this color, I was waiting to find a sock pattern to use this yarn with, and I found it. It's great. And so I'll just show you what I have so far for the second sock. So still working on the leg part. But yeah, that's how these are going. The yarn I am using is, I'll show them to you here. They're actually the same colorway, but of course one is suri and one is in the sock base. They're from Woolberry Fiber Co. in the colorway I'd Like a Life, which is I'm pretty sure it's the Edith inspired colorway from the Downton Abbey collection. And yeah, so it is a light pink, more of like a muted pink with some golden tones in there as well. And so I think that works really well together. I had a sock set for this color, so I am not using the mini skein that came with this, but I'll just save the mini skein for something else. And then I had this suri leftovers because I used it for a sweater. I'm trying to, the Malwina sweater. I combined this with a gray color, and I thought it came out really nice, like a gray and a pink suri. Came out super nice, but I did have leftover suri from that sweater, so it worked out perfectly to have it match for the sock with the same colorway, but the sock base. So those are these socks, and I want to just call out these needles that I'm using. These are the Chiagu Needles. It has the red cable and the metal tips, although they feel really light. Like, are they metal? I mean, they're not plastic or wooden, but they feel really light. These are my first Chiagu needles, and I really like them. Like, I don't know what it is about the cable, but I really like the cable, and the needles are great too. Like, for my interchangeable needle set that I have for all my other projects are wooden needles, and so I just felt like I was just a very like wooden needle type of person. But when I am working with smaller gauge or smaller needles, especially when we're going to like US 1.5, US 1, which these are, those size needles, like I think I definitely prefer metal needles for that. But I really like these Chiagu needles. I also don't know if that's how you say it, but yeah, so maybe in the future, maybe buy some more of these needles because I really like them. So yeah, these are the socks and were my new cast on within the past 2 weeks. And again though, I think I definitely could have finished this in 2 weeks, but I decided to cast on 2 more projects that I wanted to work on. So that's why these are not done yet, but finished one, so I feel pretty good about that. Okay, the next one is again a project from this book because I have just been like dying to cast on projects from this book. And it is, let me find it, it is actually the sweater version of the socks. Well, I don't want to say version of the socks, but it has like that slip stitch like ridge detail on this sweater, and it's the Lighthouse Keeper Pullover. You can see it here. And I knew I wanted to make this sweater, but I was not sure what yarn to use because it does call for, I'm pretty sure it's a worsted weight yarn held with suri, or a mohair or, you know, a lace weight fluffy something. And let me just double check. Yeah, it asked for a worsted weight yarn, and I don't really ever buy worsted weight yarn unless it's for something specific. But when I was looking through my yarn stash, I actually found some bare undyed, well, is it? I'm pretty sure it's undyed yarn that I was planning. So it's a white color that I was planning on using for some other sweater that I wanted to test knit, but I didn't get into the test knit. And this might have been like last year, like last winter. So it was just a sweater quantity of that yarn just hanging out because I just decided not to make that sweater. And I didn't get into the test knit. And I was like, okay, I want to add a suri to it. And I was like, what suri? And I had some suri that I just got, not just, well, recently got, that I had no plans for, but I knew I wanted it. And I was like, it's the perfect match. The perfect match. At least to me, I think. I hope. I hope you like the match too. So, let me pull it up here. Okay, let me just make sure I don't drop any stitches because why did I not finish this one sleeve row? Anyway. Okay. Oh, it's like creased. Weird. Okay. So this is what I have so far. And it might be kind of hard to tell because it's subtle. But, so the worsted weight yarn I used, I hope I wrote this down here. I used Cascade Yarns Cascade 220, the worsted weight yarn in natural, the natural color, which I think is undyed. And I paired that with some suri, and if you can see, it's like orangey, peachy, pinky, and that is the suri from Explore Knits. It is the Peaches and Cream colorway from the Ice Cream Social collection this summer. And I can show you what it looks like all skeined up. This is Peaches and Cream, and so I paired that with the natural worsted weight yarn, and it comes out looking like this. And I love how subtle it is, but it still has like that extra, like, I mean, it still has the color, but it's subtle, and I really, really like that. Like, I was worried about having an all white sweater because for some reason, every single time I wear something white, I eat spaghetti. Like, does that happen to anyone else? I don't know. So I was like, I'd be so worried about knitting a white sweater and then just getting it dirty. But with this, I mean, I would still be worried about getting spaghetti sauce on it, but it's at least not totally plain white. Like, it does have those hints of orange, peachy pink orange, which I love, and I think it makes it look extra special than it just being like absolutely plain. Although plain would be fine as well, like it would look great. But I really like that the ridge detail is just the plain yarn, and so you do get that slight contrast or pop out, if that makes sense. But yeah, so this is the Lighthouse Keeper pullover. And, oh, I'm so sorry, I did not mention the name of the designer. So it's from the book Salt and Timber by Lindsay Fowler, which came out recently. I think maybe now, has it been a month? I'm not sure. But this book by Lindsay Fowler. And yeah, it's just, I really like all the patterns in there. So love that. Love this. And as you can see, I casted this on like within the past 2 weeks, and I'm almost done. Like, I can't, because it's worsted weight plus the suri, it knits up so quickly, and so I'm pretty sure one of my goals this weekend or this week is to just finish this sleeve, because it should definitely be doable with this size yarn. So that's another plan for this week, is to finish this sweater. And it's so funny, I actually want to look it up right now, what size I knit for this, because the pattern has instructions. It's the same instructions, but it goes for sizing for children all the way to adults. And so it doesn't say which sizes are kids. It just lists them kind of all the same in the same row, but it has, of course, the sizing for each of the sizes. So I went with the recommended ease, I think. I'm reading it right now so that I don't get this wrong. I went to get the body circumference, the size that has the body circumference of 34 inches. And the recommended ease is 2 to 4 inches. And my chest circumference is 31 inches. And so I thought the 34-inch body circumference would give me 3 inches of positive ease, which is in that recommended ease range. So I was like, we're good with that. And I think it's size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Size 5. Which again, these sizes are, like size 1 is definitely a children's size and it goes up from there. So I was doing a size 5. And when I got to, was it the sleeve instructions? You can, there's a part in the instructions somewhere where it talks about for the children's sizes and it lists those sizes. And I think I'm knitting like the second largest kids, quote, kids size for this, which I think is so funny. I mean, if it fits, it fits, right? But I just thought it was pretty funny that I think technically this size is considered a kid size. I could be wrong, but I think that that's what I read or understood as in the book. But it should fit. We'll see. It should fit. But I just thought it was kind of funny. Yes, so that is new cast on number 2. That's almost done. But I should get done pretty soon. If I'm good, I'll get it done this coming week. Yes, but I'm so excited and really happy that I did cast those 2 projects on, the Lighthouse Keeper's pullover and the marine layer socks, because they're both from the book that I bought, and they're the first patterns that I've made from a book. So it's just really exciting, and it seems kind of, I don't know, to me it feels like I've not leveled up, but I feel like I've done something that just adds another something that I've done as far as like my knitting goes, if that makes any sense at all. Probably doesn't, but it just feels cool to me to knit something from a book that I really like. So yeah, and we actually have one more Mew cast on that I've been working on and is actually one of my favorites. All of them are truly my favorites, but this one I'm particularly excited about because I knew I wanted to make this when I ordered this yarn. So let me just show it to you because I think some of you might be able to recognize it. Hint, hint, I am using 2 strands of Suri to make this. It is the Cumulus Blouse by Petite Knit. It is a very popular pattern. I have actually made this previously. It was before I made this podcast, so I haven't shown it here, but I have made the Cumulus Blouse in the past, and I've used 2 strands of mohair to make it, and I really like it, but I just find it a little itchy, and I thought I was just going to have to live with mohair being a bit itchy to me. I thought that's just how it was, but when I discovered Suri, I knew that I had to make a Cumulus Blouse with Suri, and so the time has finally come. I am making a Cumulus Blouse with Suri, and it is the squishiest, softest thing ever. Like, I truly am knitting this as fast as possible because I want to wear it. It is too hot to wear now, but I just want to be able to feel it and just like hug it while wearing it, you know? So the yarn I'm using for this is from Explora Knits. It is the colorway Thea, I think that's how you pronounce it, from her Ireland collection. I was lucky enough to get this during the first round, and I knew right away when I saw that colorway that it was going to turn into a Cumulus Blouse, and that is what is finally happening. I have mentioned this in one of my previous videos where I talk about my next new cast on. And so it was not the one that I did cast on back then, but it has finally been casted on. It's been a long time coming. I think I need to try and find like the best way to show this color, because it looks neutral, because I guess it is, but it has hints of like a turquoise blue, purple, and pink, and just a nice overall cream, purpley hue to it. This is the back. And I think it's just going to be perfect. It's just going to be so good. I actually have plans for more Cumulus Blouses made with Suri in the future. Like maybe like 2 more colorways. I have 2 more Suri sweater quantities to make Cumulus Blouses specifically. So I may have a collection of Cumulus Blouses just in a whole bunch of different colorways. And I gotta say, like, when I say it's fun to knit, I mean right now I'm knitting the body and it's just plain stockinette, which is kind of nice to work on if I'm like watching TV, but because it's Suri, it's not as easy for me to knit on this while not looking at it, just because I am so scared that I am going to miss a stitch or because I'm holding 2 at a time, like I might miss one of the strands if I'm not looking at it. So it's not as, like, it's still plain knitting and it's fast, but it's not as fast as something that you're just working with 1 strand. So there's that, but it's not too bad. Like, I know I'm gonna love the end product, so that's what kind of keeps me going. And the colorway is just so pretty. And I know, since I already made one of these and it fits really nicely, I know I'm gonna like it. And I'm just really excited to see how it feels to have this on Suri. Yay! And if you don't know the Cumulus Blouse, it will have long sleeves. So, even more cozy. And while they're here, if you see these like bright pink things, I do want to talk about them because I've had them for some time now and used them for a bit, and maybe probably some of you have heard of it. These are the Barber Cords, I think that's what they're called, and they are pretty much just like tubes of, is it plastic or rubber? I don't know. I'm smelling it like I would know what it's made out of just by smelling it. But they're just like flexible tubes, and it's hollow on the inside, and they're made so that you can like hold your stitches onto them. So instead of using like scrap yarn, or just what I used to do was just have my interchangeable needles on them and just take off the needles to hold the stitches. These are really nice because you don't have to use up any of your interchangeable needle cords to hold your stitches, and you don't have to go through the process of, if you're using scrap yarn, to like pick every single stitch with your needle to wrap it onto the yarn and pick them all back up again. With this, do I have a needle? Well, the way you do it, or how it's supposed to work, is that because these are tubes and they have like a hole at the end, you stick your needle onto it, and so it's stuck on your needle, and then you just like pull them off of this onto your needle, and the same from your needle onto these cords, you just pull them onto them. And I've experimented with the different yarns, different needle size, different like yarn gauge with these cords, and I found, I guess it makes sense, like the larger the gauges or the stitches are, it's way easier to slip them onto these cords. Like, it's really fast, like you just kind of just like put them on and you don't have to worry too much. But if they are smaller gauge or they're really tight and they're like maybe the same size as these cords, then it makes it a lot harder to put them on these cords because it just makes it super tight. And I've had some issues where I'm trying to put them onto the cord and the cord falls off of the needle, and then I lose the stitches that were all in the middle. So that's not fun. I would not recommend using the cords for small gauge stuff or really tight stitches. But if it's a larger gauge, they work really well, and I really like them. They're great for, so these are great, like this size, I don't know what the length is, but they're perfect for, at least for me, for the sleeves, like to hold them, because they're pretty long for that. And I have one that is really long, so that if you ever wanted to like try on something, but don't want to go through the hassle, like before I would never really want to try on something if I'm working on the body, and I would have to, just to try it on, like pick up all the stitches onto a scrap yarn, try it on, and pick them all back up. But there is a really long one, and you can just easily put them on the long one, try it on, and then push them all back on your needle, and makes it a lot faster and makes it easier if you want to just try on something in the middle of like working on the body, if you want to like check the length while you're wearing it, if that makes sense. So yeah, but they only really work well, like they work for smaller gauge stuff, but it just takes a long time and risk losing some stitches along the way during the transfer. But for larger gauge stuff, it works really well. So yeah, Cumulus Blouse. I think I started this maybe like 3 days ago. So I tend to get a lot done on newly cast on projects and then just like stop somewhere in the middle for a long time. So we'll see how long this takes me. But it is something that's just, I'm so excited to finally have cast it on and to see how this yarn looks worked up. And it's so pretty. So yes, Cumulus Blouse. Suri. The perfect combo. Okay. Now, can you believe it that I'm not even done? Well, I'm done talking about like the knitted projects and stuff, so if that's all you're here for, then just letting you know that now we are moving on to the more chatty section of the podcast, the episode. So, as I've mentioned throughout kind of this video, I did not post last week because I was doing stuff on the weekend and I just didn't have time to film and to edit and to upload and all that, so I decided to just wait a week to make a video. And it's because last weekend, both Saturday and Sunday were just filled with knitting. And okay, I can feel my voice starting to get, so I drink some water. Okay, but let me move this. So I am in the test knit for the Dad Sweater by Emily Curtis, which I've mentioned earlier and showed you my progress earlier in this video. And as I've mentioned, Emily Curtis lives in Seattle and she works at the yarn shop La Mercerie, and they just moved maybe like a month ago to Bainbridge Island because they were previously in Posebo, Washington, which is just farther away if you live in Seattle, like from Seattle. So they moved to Bainbridge Island, which is a lot closer now, and it's a ferry ride away and walking distance from the ferry terminal, so you don't even have to drive your car there, which is great for me because I don't like driving my car. Like taking a ferry is just enough in itself for me, travel-wise. So so I'm in the test net for her, and there's actually a few more people in that test net who are also from Seattle or in the Seattle area, and there's a couple of them who are friends who asked if any of us wanted to go to one of La Mercerie's crafternoons on a Saturday and just like hang out and knit together, and the crafternoon at La Mercerie is every Saturday and I think also Wednesday in the afternoon, where you can just go and knit with a whole bunch of people. Or not a whole bunch, but there's at least when I went this one time, there was a good turnout of people, and I was kind of nervous because I wanted to meet them because I do follow them on Instagram. Well, I follow, of course, Emily, the designer, so I thought she was going to be at the crafternoon, and I thought it'd be really cool to meet her, and then the other people from who are also her friends, who asked if anyone wanted to join them. I was kind of nervous because, one, I have never knitted in person with people before. Like, and I also don't really know any knitters who are as addicted to knitting. Can I say that? Like, who just like knit every single day as much as I do. So I don't knit with people. Like, I always knit at home by myself. I don't knit with other people. I've never done that like in person. Also because I started, when I picked knitting back up, it was during 2020 when COVID was a thing, and so everything was closed. So even going into a yarn store in person was just not a thing that I've done either. So I thought, and okay, I'm also very like shy and introverted person. So meeting up with people I don't know, have never met before, and going to a group setting was just kind of scary to me, but I was like, I love knitting. I want to be part of the community. It's also the reason why I started this podcast, was to be more part of the community, and so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to go. And so I went last Saturday, and it was like, I was still really nervous and just like had no idea what to say, but I felt so comfortable there with a group of people, and it was so fun to talk about the projects that we were working on, the yarn we were using, future projects or past projects, like what is like our favorite sweater we've made. Like, it felt really comfortable, and the conversation felt natural, and just being like, they knew where my stitch markers were from, and I was using the stitch markers from Hello Lavender, the Ice Cream Social collection. Like, it was just so funny to be like, oh, I know what pattern you're talking about, or I know what yarn you're talking about. Like, I haven't had that interaction with someone before, and so I thought that was just like, it was so cool. And I feel like I've made some knitting friends, like, in person now, not just like following them on Instagram and knowing who they are. So yeah, and I did get to meet Emily. I wish I said more things to her, but I was just like really nervous because I was kind of like fangirling because I watch her knitting podcast and I really like them. So, but yeah, she is so nice and just like a good human being. Like, I don't know, the whole Saturday was just like really, it felt really wholesome and fun. And I felt really like fulfilled and just like really glad that I did decide to go, because it's definitely out of my comfort zone to do something like that. Like, I'm a very much just, I love staying home type of person. So yeah, so that was my Saturday. And that is why I did not film on Saturday. And then I could have filmed on Sunday, but I also had a knitting related thing on that Sunday, which was planned way before the Crafternoon plans for the Saturday. But I thought, hey, it's all happening on one weekend, let's just do it in all one weekend. I don't think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but one of my other hobbies or interests, something I spend a good amount of time on, is ice skating. So if you also ice skate, let me know in the comments down below. When I was little, I really wanted to be an ice skater. Like, I looked up to Michelle Kwan and Sasha Cohen, and I wanted to be an ice skater when I was little. And growing up in Hawaii, like, we had one ice rink, and I remember taking some lessons with my sister, but we didn't get that far. Like, I think we learned how to skate backwards, and that might have been like it for us as kids to ice skate. And so obviously, like, growing up, I was just like, that can't be a thing for me. And once you get older, I was like, you don't skate when you're older. Like, that's a kid thing, and you have to grow up, having grown up done it by when you start skating young. But I learned that there's like adult skating programs, and I was like, once I got my job and I started getting paid, I was like, it's my time to live out my childhood dream of ice skating. And so that was another thing I started in 2019. So it is somewhat recent, right? Yeah. And it's been so great. I don't want to take up too much time of this because it's already a long video talking about ice skating, but let me know if that's something you're interested in. I don't know. Like, those are, knitting and ice skating are two very different things. But yeah, so I started ice skating and I take lessons, and one of my coach's students is also an adult ice skater. She's also from Hawaii. We don't know each other from Hawaii, but it's kind of like cool that we have that connection. And she also knits, which is kind of funny. And she invited me to a knitting night, crafting night with her and her friends, because she has other friends that also knit and do artsy things. So that was this past Sunday. And again, it was like another going to meet up with people that I don't know. I knew one person, but again, it's not like super well. So I just was like, you know, I could not go. That's the comfortable thing to do, is not go. But I felt like I should. Like, I wasn't being forced, of course, but I was like, I really want to get to know more people. If we all love knitting, that's something we can all talk about. And so I decided to go. And again, it was such a great time. Everyone was so nice. I knew some of the projects that they were working on and some of the yarn. And also, one of them showed up in a tank top that I test knitted that pattern. And so I definitely knew that pattern. I thought that was so funny. And it was really cute. Like, her color choice for that was really cute too. And I just, again, just had a great time. So last weekend I was so busy just like knitting with people. And if you're wondering, I don't know if you are wondering what project I decided to bring to both of those was my dad's sweater. Like, of course I had to bring my dad's sweater to the Crafternoon where Emily, the designer, was going to be there. I don't know if she thought that was weird, but I thought maybe it'd be cool for her to see people actually knitting her design. So of course I had to bring that, and I was working on one sleeve. So I already finished one sleeve, worked on the other sleeve, and I was able to finish that whole sleeve that one weekend. So yeah, very productive weekend, even though I was kind of out and about a lot more and more socializing than I do on a daily basis. So it was a busy weekend. And as much as I loved it, I am glad that I have this weekend to just kind of like recalibrate, rest, and knit on my own, watch TV, watch some movies. So yeah, I just had a great weekend. It was a great time, and I felt really happy, which I'm glad that knitting or crafting can kind of bring people together like that. So it felt really nice, and I think I made some new friends, which is just really cool too. So yeah, I think that is it for this podcast. That is where I will end it. It was a long one, so if you're still here, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot of knitting done, as I assume that maybe many of you would be doing while watching this podcast, because that's what I do when I watch other people's podcasts. I just knit, which is, it feels like that interaction where I'm knitting with someone and they're talking about knitting. Like, it just feels, you know, like there's a connection. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you would like. Feel free to subscribe if you would like as well. If you want to follow me on my Instagram, where I post more of my knitting projects, you can follow me at arieknits, which is the same name as this podcast. And let's see, I hope you are having a great day. Hope you will have a great weekend or a great week. And I will see you next time. I should film in 1 week from now. We'll probably be on a regular schedule for a while until maybe the holidays, but we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.